Good afternoon. I wanted to show you something that has always confused and fascinated me. About 25 years back, I went to an estate sale and I picked up a book. This is the book, The Boys of 61. It was printed in 1881 by Charles Carlton Coffin, and it's from the first Battle of Bull Run to the fall of Richmond. There's a problem. If this isn't congruent with current history. One of the things that most stood out to me was this particular lithograph here. Now you gotta look closely because this is the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. There's a problem. John Wilkes Booth did not stab him. He was shot. I'll read you the text. Day was breaking on the 12th of April when General Grant, accompanied by his staff, alighted from the cars at City Point. After a tedious night ride from Burkesville, he walked slowly up a steep bank to his headquarters, not with the air of a conqueror, but as if sleep and rest would be far more acceptable than the congratulations of a noisy crowd. 4 years had passed since he left his quiet home in Illinois, a humble citizen, unknown beyond his village borders. But now his name was inseparably connected with the great moral convulsion, worldwide in its influence, enduring as time in its results. Mighty conflict of ideas had swept around the globe like a tidal wave of the ocean. Industry had been quickened in every land, and new channels of trade opened among nations. Wherever human language was spoken, men talked of the war between slavery and freedom, and aspirations for good were awakened in the hearts of toiling millions in Europe. On the burning sands of Africa and in the jungles of Hindostan, to whom life was bare existence and future ever hopeless. The 4 years of fighting were over. The rebellion was subdued. On the 1st of April, Lee had a large army, but suddenly he had been overwhelmed. That which seemed so formidable had disappeared like a bubble in the sunshine. Though the rebels saw that the Confederacy was threatened, as it had been at any other period of the war, there were few, if any, who up to the latest hour dreamed there could be such an overwhelming turn of affairs. That Lee has held his ground so long as a warranty he could successfully resist all Grant's efforts to take Richmond. The Confederate Congress met daily in the capital, passed resolutions, enacted laws, and debated questions of state, as if the Confederacy had a place among the nations, with centuries of posterity and glory in prospect. But for their performance came an unexpected end. The last act of the tragedy was given on the 14th, the assassination of the president. What drama surpasses it in interest? What period of world history is more replete with great events affecting the welfare of human race? In 1861, when the curtain rose, the world beheld a nation peaceful, happy, prosperous. Then came the spectacle. The procession of seceding states with bugles sounding, colors flying, the bombardment of Sumter, the uprising of the people of the North, and a drumbeat heard in every village, flags floating from all the steeples, streamers and banners from all the housetops, great battles, defeat and victory, a plowman and splitter of the rails, the liberator of the enslaved, the enlistment of the soldiers of the Republic, the patriotism of the people, women's work of love and mercy, the ghastly scenes in the southern prisons, the conflagration of cities set on fire by the rebels, the breaking up of Confederacy, the assassination, the capture of the rebel chief, the return of the victorious armies, the last grand military pageant at Washington, and then the retirement of the soldiers to peaceful life, sublime the picture. The conflict commenced as a rebellion, but ended in revolution. Slavery has disappeared. Civil liberty is stronger than in 1861. 4 million freedmen are candidates for citizenship, who at the beginning of the rebellion had no rights under the flag of the Union. The rebellion was an attempt to suppress truth and justice by tyranny. The effort might have been successful at an earlier age, but not in the 19th century, and never will it attempt to be repeated on American soil, for the tendency of mind is towards clearer perception of the rights of man. America uttered her protest against despotic power in 1776. It was an experiment, said the aristocracies of Europe. The Republic can burst, and has burst, said Earl Russell in 1861. But the Republic lives. The false and ignoble distinctions in society of the Old World, which slavery attempted to establish in the New, have been reversed. America teaches the truth to the wandering nations, that the strongest government rests not on the few, not on the property, never on injustice, but on the people, on diffused wealth and enlightened mind, on obligation to man and God. Kings will yet lay aside their scepters, and subjects will become sovereigns, because the people of America, by example, have shown the world that civil and religious liberty for all, as well as for the few, is more value than human life. How lavish the expenditure of blood, how generous the outpouring of the wine by the heroic dead, dead yet living. Their patriotism, sacrifice, endeavor, patience, faith, and hope can never die. Loved and lamented, but immoral. For living digress, for all the dead, their work is done. Not for an hour, a day, a year, but for all time. Not for fame or ambition, but for the poor, the degraded, the oppressed of all lands, for civilization and Christianity, for the welfare of the human race, through time and eternity. These words are written long, long before any of you or your grandparents roamed this world. I haven't started really going through this book, but just from this, it's going to be a hell of an interesting story.